Shut up and sit down. And sit down.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 360 Sports Show, coming to you live tonight on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. No Facebook day. I am Anzelli. He is Christian Lauber. Thank you for finding us here on a Monday night as we get you ready for Monday Night Football, our new time slot here, 7:30 p.m. on a Monday evening, and we have quite a bit to get into. Time is going to be dominated by last night's Patriots-Bucks game, but we will be talking about other stories from the past week in sports. And you can join us anytime in the comment section of any of the live streams. Simply comment, and they'll pop right up to us here. And you could always email the show, the360sportshow@gmail.com. So, Christian, let's do this. Let's just start with our quick bing, 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 big takeaways from last night's Pats-Bucks game, and then we'll get into all the little nitty-gritty. But if you had to have, two or three, these are the big takeaways, succinct, here's the lead. What is your takeaway from last night's Pats-Bucks game? A doink preventing the Patriots from potentially upsetting the Buccaneers and Tom Brady.
Let me just rattle off a few. Mac Jones is number one. He was the best player on the football field last night. And he was way better of the two quarterbacks, which I did not see coming. I think Brady was a little too amped for this one. He was not very good, but he got you down the field in the last three possessions and won the game ultimately. But Mac Jones, number one. Number two, I'll just go Patriots again. I don't know what you want to call it. Coaching, discipline, whatever you want to call it. Too many mistakes. 12 men on the field. They had 10 men last week. It's just the same old mistakes. And number three, I'll go the other direction and go with the Bucks just to give you a Bucks note. They are beat up, and they're going to have a tough time getting back to the Super Bowl. It's not impossible because you have the greatest of all time at the helm, but that secondary is just getting beat up left and right. They're going to have a tough time. They're going to have to score a lot of points in order to win games. Their secondary is just, especially with Carlton Davis now being out, they're in trouble on the defensive side of the ball. Brady obviously will carry them as far as he can.
Yeah. Before I get into my kind of top 3 points, I do want to put Nick in the comment section jumping in. Thank you, Nick. His big 3 points, Mac outplayed the best ever, at least in that game, yes. Judon played well. And Steve Belichick made some great memes last night. Watching the game, I was like, as soon as they were cutting those, I was like, all right, on the clock here, how long before these are gift and circulating the internet? Oh, 5 minutes? That's all it took? Yep. All right, there we go. So my big takeaways from last night is that, yes, it is a moral victory for the Patriots. They lost the game. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm counting that as a win. No, they lost the game. They are 1-3. But for who they were going up against, the situation of all of that, and the fact that you have a rookie quarterback on your side who was able to handle all of that, and you had a chance to win when no one, absolutely no one, I remember some scores last week, Christian, 69-5. I think I said they had a shot, and I stuck to that, and they did. Now, I thought it would be more of a shootout, let Mac sling it, and it's somewhere, high 20s. If you told me the Bucs will only score 19 points, I'm like, oh boy, we might win that. Now they still couldn't score 20, so that's obviously why you lose. Some red zone problems again for the Patriots for both teams last night. But
I also
they had
believe
a much bigger
picked them to
shot.
win, did you not?
Huh?
You picked them to win too. You said
I
you
did.
gave them a chance, right? But you picked them to win, and did they win? No.
No. But come on. Everybody was saying this was going to be.
City.
Everybody was saying, you were saying it yourself. Tom Brady is going to bend you over and do whatever. Like that's the way you thought. Everybody thought this game was going to go.
I said he was going to pants you and spank you. Now I will say, I did not account for how much he would just be way too overzealous and just throwing high balls all night long.
Yeah, I think the emotions got to him a little bit early on. But like I said, I count this as a moral victory, but it's the last. That's it. Every game from here on out is almost must-have, especially your conference games. And the first couple weeks is quasi the preseason for these teams because of the young quarterback. I'll say moral victory, but this is the last one. It's the last moral victory you get for the rest of this year because now you have to start winning. Use last night as the jumping off point. So that's one takeaway. The other, like I said, New England has a quarterback. I mean, how can you not be impressed with Mac Jones after last night? A rookie in that moment, not caving to the pressure, not just like coming out and, Mac didn't wet himself, making plays, playing better, at least last night, than Tom Brady was. Right? Statistically speaking, at least. And obviously Brady has some plays at the end that are big plays, and his team did get the W. But all week it's Bill versus Tom and Tom versus Bill and blah, 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 blah. And Mac Jones just quietly went about his business and went out there, and they had a chance to win that. And he shined on a night when it was all supposed to be about Brady's coronation, coming back to New England, and he was going to lay a beating on the Patriots. How you can't be impressed with Mac Jones, anybody who says they're not is just lying. They didn't watch the game or they're just trolling. Because for a rookie in his fourth game to be playing that well in that situation is really, really impressive. So that's takeaway number 2. And the third one is Belichick and Brady are both very happy with this situation. Like the people who say they should have kept Brady, they could have made it work. I think both dudes are just really, they won 6 together. I know this is kind of like retreading, but they both want this. I think they're both completely happy, Bill to toil away and get to try and groom another guy and win without Brady. And Brady obviously won another Super Bowl and is just piling on to his already existing legacy. And I think Belichick going into the locker room afterwards and spending 20 minutes with Brady tells you that a lot of the stuff, the animus, is just noise. It's media driven. Those guys have a lot of respect for each other, and neither one of them is going to say, "Oh, it was all me." They want to I think they both have that within them, like wanting to prove that it was them, but they're not actually at each other's throats over it. So they're both very happy with the situation, and I think it was inevitable. Brady was going to want to play longer than Belichick was going to want to give him contracts. But they're both happy. They're both extremely happy. The one who's not happy is Bob Kraft. He's the only one who's not happy.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think last night was good for both sides, especially Brady. I feel like Brady, now Belichick, he kind of hides it better, but Brady is a very emotional guy. He's kind of sensitive. I think he needed some form of, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, closure, anything like that. Something from Belichick to give me a sign of respect, or I want this and that, which I don't necessarily agree with on that side because ultimately he's the coach, you're the player. But
yeah.
I don't necessarily think they're both at peace with each other. I think there's some animosity there still. Obviously they have a great respect for one another, and they both, at this point, you got to realize you would not have won 6, almost 7 without each other. So I do agree on that respect, but I don't think everything's just peachy. I think now, after last night, before last night, not great. After last night, I think it's a great opportunity now for both guys to go their separate ways, finally, fully, closure, all that.
Exactly. That's where I was getting at. To that point, about coming into last night and in the game, I thought, like I was saying, what I hoped would happen happened with the fans. Before the game, honor Tom, give him his due. Listen, dude, 20 years, understanding we wouldn't have had the success without you. Give him all the praise, all that adulation. Show a video on the big board as they come onto the field. Yay, Tom! Woo! As soon as he stepped on the field the first time on offense, boo! Awesome. 100%. The fans last night in the building killed it.
Yeah, and all you Brady children, like I'm like kind of a Brady Bobo in the sense that I'm rooting for him, but I'm not to the level of like, oh, you guys booed him. Like all the children in the stands that are like complaining that we booed him and that people booed him. Game on at that point. The game is starting.
Yeah.
Now you go back to if you're a Patriots fan, you're rooting for the Patriots. Sorry, but that's it.
Yeah. No. So I thought that was awesome. The way that went down, because that was exactly what I wanted to have happen. I didn't want to see the Bucs scoring touchdowns and Gillette Stadium like raucously cheering. I would have been, that would have had me so incensed, as it probably would have had the Crafts incensed. So let's get into some more kind of specifics. And we've toyed around with what we'd call this segment, a hot or not, a up and down, 3 stars, pros and cons, positives, negatives, however we want to frame it. The good list and the bad list. Christian, who is on the good list from last night out of that game for you?
The good list, is that what we're calling it? Or the nice list, the naughty list?
Whatever. Nice and naughty. However, we'll come up with an official title, but you get the gist of what we're getting at here.
All right. So you want to start with the bad or the good?
Let's start with the good, because I know you'll want to stick on the bad.
I love the bad. The bad is my cup of tea. I will go good. I will go Mac Jones number 1. I think that's clear as day. I kind of want to leave him off because that's such an obvious one. Matthew Judon, or Judon, as Chris Collinsworth kept saying last night. Somebody give this guy a pronunciation. Let me just go off real quick. Somebody give these guys a pronunciation sheet. Like, when we used to do games, right? College, you see the pronunciation there. Now, sometimes I got it wrong before that, but Judon, okay? Matthew Judon, not Judon. It's not a capital D-O-N. I don't understand that. Anyway, so Judon's number 2. And number 3, because I love the player, I'm going to go Jacoby Myers. I just think this guy is like, he's just nails. I mean, he's always there. He got hurt one play, came right back in. He went to the blue tent for about 5 minutes, not game time, 5 minutes, commercials and all that. But he's right back in there and he's making plays. It doesn't matter if it's 4 yards, it's up the sideline for 12 yards. He's always a safety net for. He was for Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't really like all those guys. Same thing for Cam Newton, and same thing for Mac Jones now. He's not Julian Edelman. He's not that level. He's not flashy, but he's always there when you need him.
He's solid. Totally solid. Is that it for you? That's all the good? That's all the good out of yesterday?
Well, I usually give you 3, but I'll go one more just because Mac Jones is just like, that's on everybody's list, I feel like. The other guy is Christian Barmore, actually. I actually was pretty impressed with him, and he's kind of coming on now. He's making some more plays. He was in there on a couple pass rushes, getting pressure. He made a couple of good stops on the run. It's hard to notice anybody on the defense right now because I think Judon is just so impactful on that side of the ball that he kind of takes attention away from everybody. But I thought Barmore played a pretty good game overall, and I think those guys are starting to get something up front. The run defense is still a little bit of an issue, but overall, Barmore and Judon have been very good, and especially Judon. I think he's obviously been your best free agent signing, but I think he's been your best defensive player.
Yep. All right. My positives, a lot of the same stuff. Mac Jones, obvious. Like I said, how you can't be impressed with what he's doing as a rookie in his 4th game in that situation last night. He was totally in. What I love out of him is the composure. I mean, right from the get-go, they score that first touchdown to go up 7-3. They score the one to go up 14-13. And he's kind of celebrating, but he scored one right back to the sideline. High five and, hey, let's go. No, let's get ready. We're not done. Like, that stuff, that's, again, a guy in his 4th game, and the way other players talk about him and his coolness and his toughness, got to be tough because, as we'll get into in the bad, boy, some jailbreaks again last night for him. So that's the other thing. Putting up the numbers he put up No, this is not the second coming of any Hall of Fame player. But to be doing what he's doing as a rookie, despite the adversity he's facing, like from the guys in front of him, problems on his own team, it's impressive. So Mac Jones is obvious. Judon as well, just because he made a tremendous impact. They weren't really blitzing last night, so it was really just 4 and 5 man, or honestly 4 and 3 man pressures. And a lot of the times they were trying to chip him, double him, and he was getting there anyways, and being disruptive. So Judon on the list. I'm going to say the tight ends last night, after all the grief we gave them after last week, I thought the tight ends played really well tonight. I mean, they both get a touchdown. We're paying them to produce. They did produce. Now, I think there's we want to see more of it, not just like, hey, 3 catches, but that's going to come as the offense, can get into bigger gears. So them making an impact last night, I'm putting them on the good list. And lastly, I'm going back and forth on this, but I actually am going to put Josh McDaniels on the good list because they did allow Mac Jones to sling it. They didn't just keep bashing their heads against the wall. Now, it's like splitting the baby, right? I
don't love that one. I'll be honest.
They started the game, and I said if they come out and just run the ball twice and then throw on third down, it's going to be a long, long night offensively. They came out to spread it out and pass the ball and, hey, hurry up right on the ball. They hadn't even finished the, NBC Sunday Night Football, let's hear the Patriots offense. Patriots already had run another play before that thing was done. They were trying to go fast. And so that told me, all right, okay. These guys saw what I said last week. You're not going to be able to run the ball on these guys. Use the short passing game, controlled passing game, like the running game. Throw it 2 yards, let that guy maybe make a play. Better than getting stuffed in the backfield. So I like that they came into the game knowing that's what they were going to have to do. But then you'd have good pass play, chunk. And then they'd run halfback toss to the short side of the defense. And it's like, why? Loss of 5. One, why are you running toss against one of the fastest defenses? But it's the best front seven. You can't run the ball. If you're going to run the ball, you have to do it deceptively. It's going to be a little draw play. It's got to be something where it's just straight at the line. It's dives. It's right off tackle. Not we're trying to do counters and pull this guy and trap.
You don't like a crack toss to Bolden?
No.
For the 70th
without
time?
a speed back either. Even with James White. James White is not a speed back. If they had Dion Lewis in the backfield, I'd say, hey, you know what? Maybe they're committing too much inside. We think we could run this toss play, pin a guy, pull the guard, get outside. Okay, once or twice. You got Brandon Bolden doing it. And Damian Harris, who is fast, but he's not a speed guy. He's a bruiser. He's more of a downhill runner. Those calls really bother me because there were some drives early on in the first quarter where they had rhythm. Those could have been scoring drives, even if it was just a field goal. And the way that game ended up being a low-scoring game, I think they left points out there. So I put Josh McDaniels on the good and the bad list because they had the plan, and then for whatever reason, they just decided, well, you know what? Let's test that brick wall 5 times. And obviously they wind up with what? Was it -1 rushing yard
yep.
by the end?
Yes.
So, like I said,
Did
good.
they run out of shotgun last night at all?
Good and bad. There was one draw play I remember. It was more like a delay. And they got a few yards. But every time they ran the ball, that line was just collapsed. If the Dallas Cowboys, who have one of the best running backs in the league and the best offensive line, decided we're not running the ball, you with a subpar offensive line right now and not elite running backs should not be trying to run the ball against that defense.
Yeah.
That's it. Point in case. So why they even tried, I would have let Mac throw 50 times last night and just said, we're only going to run the ball if it's 4th and inches. And at that point, I'd say sneak it rather. I mean, there was really, I would have been totally fine to just throw out the rule book of we want to try and stay balanced. Now, the rest of the year, they can't do that. Against other opponents, This team is going to need to run the ball to win games. But last
night, it's Tampa Bay. You watch every team that plays Tampa Bay. Stafford and the Rams shredded their secondary by passing 30-something times because that's all they needed. They got touchdowns. But they would have passed 50 times in that game. They were throwing the ball over the field.
Yeah.
Same with Dallas. They said, Prescott, we know you're coming off a pitcher's shoulder injury, but go throw the ball 54 times. And they almost won the game.
Yeah.
That's how you beat Tampa Bay. So, the rest of the season, sure, you need a run game of some sort.
Yeah. But last night
situations against Tampa, you do not need to run the ball. Not even one time.
Yeah.
I don't care. You don't need to run the ball half a time just to stay balanced or whatever. They only ran it 8 times, believe it or not, I think is what it was. And 2 of those were one was that Aguilar and the other was maybe a.
But how many? I think did they run toss 3 times in that game? Were there 3 tosses in that game?
2, 3. I want to say, yeah.
That why you even call that against that defense? I don't know. I don't know. But hey, it is what it is. So McDaniels, I'm splitting it. He's half of him. He's straddling the line. He's kind of good and kind of bad. Last night. All right, Christian. I know you wanna. You're very excited for this. Who's on the bad list from last night? Who was naughty?
I'm gonna go with the whole offensive line again.
Everyone and the center.
Yeah, I want to say I think anybody blocking, not a wide receiver. Wide receivers are what they are, but the running backs didn't even pick up anything last night. I thought Bolden missed a couple of chances to block. It was either White or his counterpart there, the 2 linebackers. Neither of them were blocked, through. They were coming through right up the middle the entire time. Now, Mac Jones did sidestep. One of them made an absolutely brilliant play to sidestep and throw it down the field, I believe, to Bourne. But, man, he's getting crushed still. 4 sacks again. He's getting hit 10 times. Just he's getting pummeled. So the offensive line is on the list. I don't even know how to target one guy. I thought the left tackle, Isaiah Wynn, was abysmal for parts of the game. He had an offsides penalty at the end of the game there that was not called, but it was pretty obvious. And he hung his head and he knew it, but they weren't going to call it. And then I'll go I don't even know, defensive coordinator, coaching, some combination of Steve Belichick and Gerard Mayo. Can we, lick a tongue there. Can we get these guys? Can we get the right personnel on the field? Because Bill has to call a timeout late. Then you're down to 1 timeout. And it's like every week they have some ordeal on defense. I don't even, So those guys got to get it together in terms of personnel, getting the right guys out there and right combinations, and it's just a mess. So I can't even give you individual players here. It's the whole offensive line, the 2 defensive coordinators or whatever they're called, and then I'll go, I guess, the running backs. What they have in this game? 1 or 2 fumbles. You got to stop fumbling the ball.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of these people that's going to be like the
your boy, man.
back,
they were
right?
calling for JJ Taylor. You've been calling for JJ Taylor, and then womp 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 womp.
Now I think the Bucs made a good play on that. The Bucs did make a good play on that ball to knock it out, but I'm still not going to put that guy in the doghouse. And same with Stevenson. I thought they could have used Stevenson last night. So some second guesses there. And number 4, just because I want to, I thought the refs sucked all night.
Oh. Brutal. And Vinovich is usually one of the better ones. His crews are the better, he does a good job of keeping control of the game. And that all the
Really? I kind of hope he retires. He kind of sucks. He's like the new hockey.
I'm saying in the past, that the kind of the runner show stuff, the procedural stuff where, you might look and say, oh, this was a bad decision by the officials to call it this way because now it prevents something. All that sort of. I usually don't see that with Vinovich. He's usually pretty on it. I thought last night, what I thought was crazy is you have like you said, they don't call the second false start, which was lucky at the end. But then you have, pass interference when shouldn't have been pass interference.
Yeah.
Then you have a hands to the face call. Judon was getting held all night long.
Yeah.
And they never called holding. They called a hands to the face. It's like, yes, his hand is in his face. His arm is also around his neck, and he is being dragged to the ground. That is holding.
Yeah.
That is not a 5-yard penalty. That should be a 10-yard penalty. There was a lot of times, and then there was like a hands to the face call, I think, on Lawrence Guy, where he didn't even touch anybody. He just
he wasn't even near.
was
anybody.
being blocked and then like just shed the guy and pursued, and they were like, oh, no, hands to the face. So that just calls out of nowhere where there was nothing there
That's what I mean. I mean,
was bad. I don't think it cost them the game
no, it
by
didn't,
any
no.
stretch, but I will agree the officiating last night was wildly inconsistent.
I would just have two gripes with them. Number one, they're way too involved in the game. Get the hell out of the way. Like, let the guys play, especially the one on Van Noy. It probably is called, but like, it's only week 4, but it's like in a playoff environment. Let the freaking call go. And then the same on the other side.
Oh, it's a bang bang too. Oh, he got there early. Yes, when we slow this down to a 1/10 of normal speed, yes, Van Noy got there early and he didn't have his head around. You watched that full speed and it was like, yes, he threw his hands up, but he hit the ball.
And that's a pop fly too. You're just trying to get a call at that point. Don't call that. And number 2, when they did call stuff, it was the wrong call.
Yeah.
It was holding and not hands to the face, or it was hands to the face and not holding. It was PI, not PI. They were just an absolute.
Or the
cluster.
Matthew Slater one, where yes, by rule, you're blocked out of bounds. You have to come in, but you can't then touch Matthew Slater again when he's out of bounds. You can't keep blocking him 5 out of bounds, and
I
then
thought that one was not that bad.
But
I don't think Slater even
just
tried to get back in bounds.
Here's the thing: on the very next punt, when they had to re-punt, the same thing happens. They double teamed him, pushed him out of bounds, and he runs strangling his way back onto the field. There was no penalty there. So it's like, I think this happens every single punt. This happens every single game. Somebody gets pushed out of bounds, and they don't just come straight back in and then run up. It's always fudge. Now, if you stay out of bounds, yes. But if you're running straight down the field and he was at least angled his way back onto the field, you never see that called. So that's where it was just like the inconsistency. And like you said, being involved, something that really didn't have an impact on a play. And you could have called it both ways. Kind of along your bad list, Colin in the comment section, offensive line equals bad.
Yes.
Yep. Nick says Justin Herron, so lump that into offensive line. But this is what's crazy. I said this last week. The defense did show up last night. Aided, I think, by the elements, but the defense did show up and do its job. Things we thought were strengths have been weaknesses. We thought this offensive line was going to be the backbone of this offense. Right now, the backbone is Mac Jones, which is insane. Colin also says, can you remember the last time they had so many 12-man on the field issues? I feel like it used to be a non-factor for them. Yeah, no, that's a problem. That is a big-time problem. Nick says, too, they called an incomplete pass. That was supposed to be a fumble. Another one, a break for the Patriots. But I thought, especially since they ruled it a fumble on the field, that they're just going to say, play stands is called. Overturning
that was for sure a fumble, by the way.
Overturning that was spread. Yeah, he took 3 steps. Now I know, I think the bobble aided that decision, but the fact that they called it a fumble on the field and then changed it, I was very surprised to see that happen. So a lot of these for my bads, I agree. The offensive line, disgusting. All of these guys. I mean, just getting Trent Brown back is not going to fix this because David Andrews is playing poorly, Shaq Mason's playing poorly. I mean, everybody is playing poorly along.
It's 2 weeks in a row now. Andrews has got a snap count wrong.
Yeah. So that's a problem. I've already gone over Josh McDaniels' fascination with the halfback toss with guys who aren't fast. We'll just leave that as it is. We've already killed it.
Yeah, please don't mention it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
And I'm gonna say situational football. I'm just going to put that on the bad. I feel like through 4 weeks, if there's a problem with this team...
Isn't that under the tree of coaching?
I guess. But, I mean, I'd say situational coaching and execution. The execution is on the players. I mean, I think there's been opportunities for them to win these games, and situationally, Sorry, I mean Nick Folk. We'll get into this decision now in a minute here, but he had the leg to flush that, and you ding it off the upright. For all the other good he did, and the reason why you were even in that game, situationally, you still need that last one at the end. Week 1, don't fumble the ball on the goal line, like in the red zone. Not fumbling the ball at all. I mean, they lost the turnover battle and still could have won that game. Again, another thing that's improbable about last night. That's not sustainable for a whole season. Mac Jones even said it in his post-game press conference. You turn the ball over. If you don't turn the ball over, your odds of winning, it's like 90-something% of the time you win games if you don't turn the ball over. And coaching, decision-making, and playing calling. Situationally, they have been bad. Now, I don't know if this is just a lack of coaching experience for some of these guys. I mean, Bill isn't making every single call. Bill isn't drawing up every single play or every single defensive assignment. So, Bill is great, but again, it takes an army. It takes a village. I don't know how good situationally some of these other coaches are. And maybe that's where it's showing with this sort of stuff, the management of the game, 12 men on the field. I don't know. So just overall situational football, I'm going to put that together on the bad list. I think we're going to go two different ways in this, Christian. 4th and 3, over midfield, 59 seconds to go. Are you going for it, or do you kick a field goal?
Well, here's where I'm going to stay on the fence on this one, because if you're asking me, I go for it. But it's not like I'm saying the decision lost you the game. Ultimately, I guess it did, but you're not guaranteed to get the 4th and 3 anyway. So if you're asking me, I would have gone for it, because number one, Nick Folk is old, he's hurt, and he's only made one from that distance in his whole career. So, or that's as long, I guess, in his career. And he's on the back half of his career. It's also raining. And I think you all night long you had within 5 yards. I think you had that was a money play all night long. If Levante David, or I think maybe it was Devin White that knocked that ball down, Myers has gone down 30 yards, and you probably are lining up with 15 seconds to win the game.
Yeah. So
that was the play of the game. But I would have probably gone for it, because I think you had that play, 3 to 7 yards all night long. And you're also giving the ball back if you make that field goal with 50 seconds left. I mean, I've seen crazier things. It's Tom Brady. We see it every week with Brady and Rodgers, the two of them. So I would have liked to see him go for it, put the ball in Mac's hands, let him get the 3, run down the clock, and ultimately probably win if you're in closer distance, because Folk is money from 45 in.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going back and forth on it all day, because that doink, it's not even a doink, it's a boom off of the upright. It was haunting my dreams last night.
Ringing my ears all day.
That whole game feels like it was some sort of fever dream. Did it happen? Did it not happen? It's when, honestly, the only time I've really ever felt about that after regular season games, the 4th and 2 in Indianapolis in 2009. And then after Super Bowls, where you go to bed and you wake up and tell me it didn't happen. The game didn't happen yet, right? When they've lost. So that's how it just stuck with me after last night. And I had to think about it a lot today. And I think initially I understand the decision. The Patriots weren't great on 3rd down yesterday. You just had a ball batted down. Mac, I think on the drive before the final drive was a little shaky with his decision making. But again, 4th and 3, it's he's going to have to just make a play anyways. So if he forces it into something, I mean, whatever. You're just trying to make a play and win the game. It's like throwing an interception on a Hail Mary. It's whatever. Yeah. And so I understand. I think if it was a 50-yarder, I would have said you have to take it. 56, you know what? That's a long field goal for Nick Folk. And I had faith. I thought he was going to make it. I believed. And especially once it was in the air, I was I thought it was going to tuck inside that upright. So I wasn't like they were trotting him out here. I'm going oh no, what are you doing? I was all right, they want to play this game. They want to Go up, get the lead, and play defense. The way I look at it, though, the way that game was playing out, I thought Mac Jones, and I still think he deserved to have a chance to win that game. To go for 4th and 3, put it in his hands, and you're going to lose on him making or not making that 4th down and any subsequent yardage to try and make that field goal attempt easier. Put it on him. Because it being a missed field goal, and then it's like, well, that's it. The game's over, and Tom Brady gets to come out and kneel on the ball twice, and that's it. It was just, it took away the drama and the theater of it at the end. Now, if it was like 4 seconds left, well, duh. You have to kick. If it was field goal versus Hail Mary, you kick the field goal. 4th and 3, a minute left in that position of the field. I think the way the game was going, I still would have put it. I would have liked to have seen it be won or lost in Mac's hands in that situation. So I think they should have gone for it. I mean, it's fine that they didn't. I understand it.
You flip-flopped on this then.
Yeah, no, I did. Last night, I was all for it. Like, no, you got to kick that. You got to kick that. You got to kick it. The more I thought about it, I really, it's what's bugging me. I wanted Mac to decide that game. And the fact that he didn't get that chance sits wrong with me. If it was closer, if it was like a 45-yard field goal and it's 4th and 3, Folk all day. 50-yarder, boom.
If you're lining Justin Tucker up there, I'm saying it's Doink City and it's going in, so it doesn't matter. Just put him out there. But it's Nick Folk. I mean, Nick Folk has made however many in a row, but that's at a certain distance. It's not like he's hitting 55-yarders still.
Yeah.
And he's injured.
Colin, in the comment section, you go for it, you go for it, you go for it. How many 50-yard field goals have they deferred because Folk's leg isn't strong?
Yeah, fair point.
And his plantar leg is injured, and you'd give them the ball back. I don't care what the advanced metric probabilities say. I trust the offense there way more than Nick Folk every time. I mean,
agreed.
I agree, but I still think like I was fine in the moment, and like if you told me Nick Folk is lining up again right now to attempt it, I think I'd give him a shot to make it. But I would rather have had the game be won or lost in Mac Jones' hands. I think after the way last night played out, he earned that right. That confidence. No matter what bad throw he made on the series before, there was like that magic thing happening. It was a chance for him to pull the Brady. And think about what that story would be like today. Say they make that 3rd down, and it's not 4th and 3. And he runs down and runs the clock down, and they kick a field goal and win. Whew. The city would be buzzing today in a positive way. I think it still is mostly positive, but it would be big-time positive atmosphere around this team, especially because their record would be 2-2, and you beat Brady and the Bucs.
Yeah.
So that's really about everything from last night. Oh yeah, there's a Monday night game tonight.
Good game, actually.
I mean, this is why we switched to Mondays, because it's better. We can immediately react to last night's games and get you ready for Monday Night Football. About 7 minutes away from the start of that game, so let's kind of dip into that, and then we'll do picks before we move on to some of our other things. Because there's other stuff happening in the world of sports, not just the NFL.
Rapid fire round.
Yeah. But Raiders at the Chargers. Raiders 3-0. Chargers 2-1. An impressive victory last week over the Kansas City Chiefs. What is your expectations for this game here tonight? Monday Night Football. Can the Raiders stay undefeated?
Should be a good game. Where is this game anyway? I don't even know.
It's in LA.
Okay. I don't even remember who I picked, but I'm rooting for the Chargers. So I'm thinking they'll be able to pull it out, especially at home. And I think Herbert is just must watch right now.
Let me see. I can tell you who you picked. Actually, I should tally up yesterday. We both picked the Chargers. Okay. Because the Raiders have been playing with fire, and the Chargers had that impressive win over Kansas City. So, rolling with them. This should be a great game. I think this should be a really good game. Divisional game. So it should be entertaining. And as long as we're on the air here, we'll keep you up to date with the score and how that goes. About 5 minutes away from kickoff right now. For our live listeners, thank you for finding us. No Facebook today. So thank you for jumping over to YouTube, Twitch or Twitter to join in here with the live stream. And like I said, you can jump in the comment section of the live stream at any time to give us your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns. And you can always email the show, the360sportshow@gmail.com, for any of our podcast listeners if you want to drop us a line through there. Thank you for finding us. If you're a podcast listener, Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from is how you can find us on the audio-only side. So let's do picks, and then we'll move on to some non-NFL storylines. And so let me pull this up here. And let me run through here. We'll update our score so, Christian, you can know where we stand.
Go Washington football team.
Washington beat Atlanta, right? Yeah. They on the last second. Buffalo crushes Houston.
I think you laughed at me on that one, by the way.
I think I did. Let me look. Did the Bears win?
That'd be pretty close.
Did the Bears win
Bears
yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. So
they did.
So we had both picked Detroit. Dallas, Carolina. Dallas won.
Close game, though.
Miami, Indy. I thought Miami would play better.
Yeah, Miami kind of stinks. I don't know why I picked them. Because the Colts kind of stink too, I guess. But
yeah, I think that was a toss-up game. We were both just like, you know what? Team at home. We're gonna go with that. You picked Cleveland. I had Minnesota. New Orleans. That's a no.
a no.
Man, I should have picked the Jets, huh?
The one time you don't.
The one time I don't. I was actually ready for that game to end in a tie.
You can actually go back to this comment now that I saw it. We'll leave the Red Sox out for now, but Nick earlier says the Jets won yesterday. Pez's dream has come true, but you didn't even pick them, so I don't know.
I didn't even pick them. Well, I had too many other upset picks I had to make that I could not justify picking the Jets. Man, we had a lot. We did not have a good week as I'm going through this.
No, I know.
I mean, Baltimore did get the W, but the Niners lost. The Rams got embarrassed. I mean, I picked Philly. You laughed at me for picking Philly. If the Eagles aren't just the dumbest team in the world with penalties, they probably have a shot to win that game because they left touchdowns on the board because of stupid penalties.
Do you realize what you just said, though?
I know.
They aren't the dumbest team, but they kind of are a dumb team. So
I know, but
I think you deserve laughs. Ha ha ha.
Pittsburgh takes care of business. Man, and last night, no points for me. You get a point for Tampa Bay. You said 30. Your official word was 31-13. I know you were joking. You were saying 65, 69, nothing. All that.
No, that was Colin. I disagreed.
Joke pick. Brutal week. Yuck. Actually, let me adjust this down. I can do that afterwards. 9-5 curse for you. So you jump back ahead of me, up by 3 now, heading into week 5. And obviously nothing on the line here tonight. We both picked the Chargers. So let's go. Week 5 NFL picks.
69-13. All right. We are opening up October 7th with the Scams at the Seahawks.
Ooh. Divisional game. Is that the best division in football? I mean, I know the Niners' record isn't good now, but I still think the Niners are a good team. This is such a tough division. I'm going to say Rams. I know it's in Seattle, but I'm still not impressed with Seattle, what they've done so far. So I'm going to go Los Angeles. Even though they got embarrassed too. I mean, they got shellacked by the Cardinals, who might be they might be the best team in the NFL. Because I don't know about the Cowboys' defense. But
fair. I think I'm just not sold on Seattle yet. I got to go Rams.
Alrighty.
That'll be a tough game in their building, though.
Yeah.
Jets versus Atlanta. Wow.
I can't do it. I really can't do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Is this game actually in London? It says 9:30 a.m. in London. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. It is. You're right. This is the London game. Man. So Atlanta loses a home game. You know what? I'm going to go Jets. Closer. They're closer. And they can treat it like a road game. Atlanta has to, it's a home game for them, but it's not a home game. And that team's a mess anyways. So poor Matt Ryan. That dude deserves better.
God,
Jets.
I think both of these teams absolutely blow.
Taking the Jets.
I'm gonna go Atlanta. I cannot take the Jets. I refuse. I refuse to sink as low as you. I can't do it.
I'm a wild card. All right, next.
Green Bay. Let me just say the tickets for this game are as low as $388. I'm paying $0 to go to that game. I'm literally not even going in if it's free. I'm sitting at home. There's absolutely no way.
The Jets Atlanta game you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's not exactly cheap either. Holy
no,
cow.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going in for $0. Never mind 380. But anyway, Green Bay at Cincinnati.
Comment section, Colin. Europe will be begging for more football after that game.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's not exactly a good showcase. All right, Green Bay at
Cincy.
Cincinnati. Man, the Bengals, man, they're just finding a way now.
Yeah.
I tuned off that Thursday night game. It was 14-0. Jaguars are going in to score. They're on the goal line. I'm like, I'm done with this game. And then I wake up the next day. I didn't even look at my phone, look at nothing. I went to bed. And it's like, oh, Bengals won 24-21. And the Jaguars didn't even score on that drive that I thought they were punching it in. I think if I had seen that happen, maybe I would have stayed up. Like, oh, okay, maybe there's a chance.
I'm going Green Bay.
I'm going to go. I'm picking the upset. I'm going Cincy only because I think Green Bay is beatable, and I feel like San Francisco was stupid in the way they managed the end of that game against them, and the Steelers are falling apart. I mean, I know Big Ben is definitely. It's not just the back nine. He's laying up on the green here at hole 18. So I think Cincy can make this a game in Cincy. I'm just liking what I'm seeing out of them right now, so I'm going to go Cincy.
I would like what I see too against the Jaguars and the Steelers. They both stink. Detroit at Minnesota.
Yuckity yuck.
Vikings. I'm done picking the Lions. I'm never picking the Lions again.
Yeah, I can't. I've already picked some upsets here that I like. As much as I would want to see the Lions get a win, I can't now in good faith pick them. Not at all.
They're just not good.
This is the suck. This might be the right now. This is the suckiest game of the week. At least Jets Atlanta. They both are bad, but they're both at least have quarterbacks. And it's in London. There'll be some flair about it. Hopefully, Detroit at Minnesota. That's just a brutal game.
Yeah, whatever. I can't pick the Lions. They stink. Denver at Pittsburgh.
Man, I'm picking Denver. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't. Pittsburgh. I'm off Pittsburgh. I'm picking a lot of road teams now, but I can't do Pittsburgh. Sorry.
Yeah, I would lean that way too, but is Bridgewater gonna play? I'll go Pittsburgh. Why not? I'll take the bait.
Taking it.
I'm under the assumption that Bridgewater is probably not going to be in that game.
Yeah.
Bridgewater, I mean. Is that what I said? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Yes.
Miami at Tampa Bay.
I was going to say the next game.
I'm just going to move on.
Tampa. No. Even though Brady used to play bad in Florida in the fall.
No longer.
Not anymore. He's used to it.
I'm going Tampa Bay. Miami blows. Ooh, this is a tough matchup. This should be a great game. New Orleans at Washington.
Oh, God.
You don't like that one?
I am going to pick the football team to win the game.
I don't know what to make of the Saints. I think they suck, so I'm going to pick Washington again.
Yeah. Worked out for you last week.
Yeah, it did. Let's go football team.
Let's go team. Let's go. I'm just hearing, Tom Werner. Let's go team. Let's go team. Go team.
Oh, God, that cringiest thing ever. Philly at Carolina.
I want to take Philly. I thought Hurts played really well yesterday, but play calling and stupid penalties. I don't know. I want to take Philly, but I think Carolina's the better team right now, so I'm going Carolina. Until the Eagles don't commit 15 penalties in a game, I can't pick a team that I know is just going to be up for doing that now.
I can see Philly winning this game, but I'm going to go Carolina as well. I think they're actually showing me a little bit something.
Yeah.
They were close with Dallas yesterday, so.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good game. Is there a spread? What's the spread on that game? Is there a spread pulled up for that? If it's easily accessible for you.
I don't see a number on it yet.
All right.
Oh, here we go. -4, Carolina.
Okay. So a little bit extra favored at home, but I think that should be a really good game.
I think I'm taking the points there, though. I'm not going to lie. I think that'll be a field goal, but let's go to Tennessee at Jacksonville. Oh, my God, dude. I can't with these games.
Well, like I said, I thought all the bad games last week, it was going to be awful. And honestly, though, sometimes when you put sucky teams on the field together, you get like entertaining games, like the Saints blowing an 11-point lead to the Giants, the Titans and the Jets going to overtime, like literally down to the wire. Sometimes you put sucky teams together, you can get good games. But I don't know. I'm going to pick Tennessee just because I just don't think Urban Meyer is cut out for the NFL.
You don't think so? You didn't like those pictures of him in that restaurant grinding on a woman?
He's just not. He's a college guy through and through. Oh, man. Yeah, I can't pick Jacksonville. They won't be anything, I don't think. I do believe in Trevor Lawrence. And it seems like they're playing better in front of him, so he's not going to get annihilated and broken the way we thought, at least at the start of the year and during preseason. But they're not going to win any games with him until they get a different coach down there. So, Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee. No way I'm picking Jacksonville, just like I'm not picking the Jets. Or the Lions. Let me go to the New England Patriots against the Houston Texans.
Picking the Pats. I am expecting bounce back in terms of winning the game. Taking last night and using it as a big jumping off point. I mean, Brady, a lot of the Bucs guys talked after season, they were like, that's a good team. And I don't think that's just lip service. I don't think Brady would just be like, oh, they have a great team. But there's a difference between him saying like, oh, they got a really great team over there, and being like, guys saying like, that's a good team. That is not a 1-3 team. That defense is good. Mac is good. They need to prove it. They need to show up. They should spank the Texans. The Texans are just ready to roll over and die in front of you. So just put it in gear and run them over. I expect more balance this week because you should be able to run the ball. This better be a Pats win easily. And if it isn't, then there's trouble. So because then if you're 1-4, you got big time problems. So must win too for the Patriots.
This is one of those games that I would say is a usual Patriots trap game, right? If they're winning games. I'm gonna pick the Pats. I would take the money though. They're only a -9. I don't love it.
The Pats are favored by that much?
Yeah.
That scares me. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think as much as, because the problem with the Patriots with stuff like that, even if they're up like 14 points late, you know what happens? Defense plays soft, gives up the backdoor cover. Like, I would. For this team right now, that's a huge number. I just don't have the confidence in them to do that. So if you're playing the lines, that's a good number for you to take. the Texans with. Then again, maybe they go out there and they get 50-0. Like the Bills did.
I don't. Yeah, seriously.
Yuck.
But I don't love it. I'm taking the Pats though.
Yeah.
Chicago at Vegas.
Oh, this is tough because they're playing tonight. Game's underway. We can check on the score of that. No
I'm
score.
going Vegas.
Oh, it says delayed. What happened?
Delayed.
Well, I'm gonna pick Vegas in that game. Let's try and find out what the deal is here with Monday Night Football.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it.
What's the deal with Monday Night
It's
Football?
a weather delay at an indoor stadium.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How is that possible? Da.
Yeah,
Lightning in the area. I don't understand. Yeah.
Outside of a dome.
I
Am I wrong on that? Isn't it? It's an indoor stadium.
It's a covered. I mean, it's like there's an open end. So like, you have. I think it's open air, but like that whole thing like covers the entirety of the. But how does that matter? Like it's not like lightning is going to somehow strike the field.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't understand. I mean, I want to pull up. Let's see. This is in Los Angeles. Yeah, it's on Los Angeles. I want to pull up the radar. How bad is this lightning? Let's see what we're dealing with here.
Yeah,
it just looks like there's some thunderstorms. I mean, I guess I want to see. I want video here. I want to see something crazy. Like, oh, here's the lightning. No, it's just that's weird. I don't know. That's odd. Very odd.
Yeah.
So, all right, but as far as next week goes, both
Vegas
taking vague ass. That's some vague ass. Next,
Cleveland at the Chargers.
Cleveland at the Chargers.
Cleavage. Where are we going here? It's getting late. Cleavage at the Chargers. Where you got?
Cleveland.
I like it, but I'm going Chargers.
It's tough for me to really pick the Chargers and the Raiders without really knowing how tonight plays out. But
Cleveland's legit too.
Them's the cards we were dealt. Next.
Giants at Cowboys. I think this one's going to be Cowboys all the way.
Yeah. How about them Cowboys? Big win for the Giants, but Dallas is on a whole nother level. Whole nother level right now for Dallas.
San Fran at Arizona.
The Niners at...
I'm going Zona.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to pick against Arizona, and...
They got it going right now.
The thing is, though, this is must-win for San Fran. You know, for
but
their,
is Jimmy
going to
be playing? I don't think so.
Is Jimmy going to be playing? Having a complete brain fart right now on who their tight end is. Why am I blanking on
Kittle?
Kittle, isn't he? He's dinged up.
He's banged up too. Yeah.
So it's a must-win, but they might not have the the horses. So Arizona again, right now, they're on fire, and until somebody knocks them off, it's tough to pick a banged up team that's finding ways to lose games against them. So
then your Sunday night matchup, a rematch of the AFC title game, Buffalo at KC.
I am picking Buffalo. I know it's in Kansas City. I don't think Kansas City is as good as they've been. Their defense isn't that good. Now I know they're missing guys. The talent level isn't there. I know you still have Mahomes and Tyreek and Kelsey, but it doesn't seem to have the same pop. And I think the Bills. This is one of those it means way more to Buffalo than it does Kansas City. I mean, I know they want to win, and it's a big game. But this is totally one of those ones where you could see where the Bills come in and they win a big game, and then Kansas City will get the last laugh like once the playoffs come around.
Yeah, probably.
So for now, I'm taking Buffalo. I think they're a team on a mission, and Kansas City is just playing meh. I know they've won some games, but meh. So Buffalo.
I'm not sold on either of these teams yet, but I'm taking Buffalo for the sheer fact that Kansas City is not nearly as balanced as they have been, most notably on the defensive side. So
Yep.
right now, I think Buffalo is just a better team.
Yeah.
And
That game's
then
going to be high scoring, though. Holy cow.
Oh yeah, in the 30s easily. Indy at Baltimore for Monday night.
Ravens by a mile because
sir.
Indy sucks.
I will match you with the Ravens.
So, only 3 different next week, but that's because a lot of these are either really sucky games or obvious games. So, we'll take it. That will do it for our lengthy NFL segment, which took all of an hour because there was honestly that much to talk about.
Holy smokes.
So let's kind of run through 2 things. Would you NBA preseason is happening right now. I'm missing out on seeing some second and third stringers play for the Boston Celtics, Christian. That's how much the show means to me.
Jeez, what a night. What has happened that you are missing sucky players play basketball?
So we will be doing a full NBA season preview. We're going to try and get Matt Murphy on the show to talk about some storylines heading into the NBA season and that sort of stuff and moves and storylines and moves that could be expected. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Ben Simmons still doesn't want to be on the 76ers. So there's a lot of things that can still go down at the beginning of the season here that we can keep an eye on. But most notably, we talked about the vaccine mandates and all this sort of stuff. So really now, it's Kyrie Irving on an island. He does not want to get vaccinated, at least so far as we can tell. We know he isn't. And he will have to miss every Brooklyn Nets home game. He'll have to miss games in any other cities or arenas that maybe potentially could impose vaccine mandates for indoor areas. And the NBA and the Players Union agreed on a deal, which means that these guys, if they don't play in those games, they lose money. Kyrie could lose $15 million. And now the Nets GM says, I expect by the time the season starts that this will be taken care of. Meaning he thinks he's going to get vaccinated magically here, I guess, in the next few weeks, which would be good. If you're a Nets fan, it would be good for, I think, your community as a whole, for Kyrie to do what I see as the right thing. I have seen nothing yet. Everybody says, do your research. Nobody has presented anything to me that says that getting the vaccine is dangerous. I'd rather not have COVID. I'd rather be vaccinated, and if I catch COVID, I know I'm going to be all right than just walking around without one. That's what the data tells me. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Do you think this, though, the money, do you think that will get Kyrie to come around, or do you think they can pressure him somehow? Is this just Kyrie being contrarian to be contrarian, and then he's going to get vaccinated and come out with some whole long thing about why and how and what's going to happen here? Because if he doesn't and misses all these games, what are the Nets going to do? I mean, you're not just going to keep him if he can't play half your games. How are you going to? He's not going to play finals games? What if they're the number 1 seed? You're not going to play in the final? Like, what is?
Yeah, they're going to have to figure something out. I think Kyrie is just being Kyrie. I don't know what else to say about the guy at this point. He, he has his right to not get it or get it, whatever he wants to do. And he also has the right to not play basketball if he doesn't want to play basketball. And if I'm judging by years past, he is more interested in other things over basketball at times. So, does he care that he might lose like over $300,000 per game? I don't know. To be honest with you, I think he is perfectly fine with what he's at, and I think he just wants to. I don't know. I don't have any explanation. Maybe he just thinks the Sage will do it. I don't know. But I would think his teammates are trying to convince him. Especially, I know Nick Nick commented with Kyrie. He thought he saw something said Kyrie was going to get it because Durant convinced him. I would think his teammates would say something if they are. Presumably,
This
they
is
are,
what
right?
he said. This was because he couldn't attend their first day of training camp and their media day because
Yeah.
it was in the Barclays Center. He said everything will be released at a due date once we get this cleared up. As of right now, please respect my privacy.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, I guess.
We'll see. Now, I know LeBron came out and he said that he got vaccinated after taking the time to do the research and blah, 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 blah.
Not a ringing endorsement.
Not a ringing endorsement, but I also understand because, I almost feel like in his position that if he just comes out and really touts like, you should do it, that there'd be some
Yeah, he's not
pushback
gonna
against
do it, of
him.
course.
Oh, now you're just peddling the vaccine, man. Like, did you even... I think the fact that he did get it speaks a lot. It almost kind of does the job for itself. And
Sure,
he's still
yeah.
trying to toe that line. He's a savvy guy. He knows maybe if I tell people, listen, you have to do this, the people who that's not the right way to go about the message for the people who you're targeting to try and say, get the vaccine. And we know the history. I understand the history, especially in the African American communities, about hesitation with this sort of stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Because there's some bad history. So you'd like LeBron to be a little more stronger, but the fact that he is a role model and that he did get vaccinated, that kind of, I think, will end up being enough. Will it be enough for a guy like Kyrie? I don't know. It wasn't enough for Andrew Wiggins. It was his pocketbook.
Yeah, I mean,
it
I
was
just
the
think
wallet.
wires are kind of getting crossed in terms of the message, right? I know Enes Kanter was on. He's been around on all these news stations, kind of advocating for vaccination, but it's just one of those things where you don't have to get it by any means, but it's also you can't spread it as, well, it's my health, right? When you could give it to somebody else and then it's not really your health. So
Yeah.
it's just mixed messaging, and this is the day.
Public health crisis means everyone.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Unless you
it's
want to go live
worldwide.
on a mountain, Kyrie,
Yeah.
go build your court up on the mountain. Then you don't have to worry about it. If he wants to take his ball and go somewhere else, he can. But as of right now, he won't be playing home games, and I think that is crazy.
I would have to believe it's going to be figured out, but I don't know.
I don't think there's any way they change the rule. They're not going to just make a
No.
Kyrie exception.
Does he get religious or something? I don't know.
I don't know. So that'll be worth keeping an eye on. Other thing, last little note. We do have some questions. We see you comment section. We'll get to those when we wrap up here at the end because we'll check the email bag as well. MLB playoffs are set. After everything, the Red Sox do indeed clinch a playoff spot, but they get to play the New York Yankees. It's great. I'll tell you what, you got to win. Not just, I like I've said, if the Yankees go deep in the playoffs and the guys they traded for help them to an ALCS or a World Series or even, God forbid, a World Series championship, Chaim Bloom is going to hear it, and rightfully so. Not that his job is on the line, but it's just going to be really bad for him. Now, they made the playoffs. They preserved their farm system and their picks and their plan for this year, and they made the playoffs. Overachieved. Up and down year. Crazy year. Now, both teams are going with their aces tomorrow. They want to win the game. They're not saying, oh, let's play because we want Chris Sale for the first round. Nope. Best on best. Both teams.
Yeah, how'd that go last time for Evaldi? Not well. I'll give
I
you
know.
that.
But I think it matters whether or not they win tomorrow. Some people say, hey, they made the playoffs. That's enough. It's a tough thing to make the playoffs in baseball. Them getting there this year is good enough, given what we thought coming into the year. I say no. Got to win the game. Have to win the game, especially against the Yankees. How do you feel about it?
I think both teams celebrating getting to a play-in game which is not really a playoff series. It's a one and done with champagne and everything was absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand that. But they both did it, so whatever. I will say I expect the Red Sox to win this game. But do I have faith that they will? Absolutely not. Because you look at what happened last time, Eovaldi, in a game where, oh man, we can really take over here and get in front of the Yankees. Now, ultimately, they're here anyway. Eovaldi got crushed last time they played. And Cole has been better as the season's gone on. And I believe, I want to say since the trade deadline, the Yankees are 6-0 against the Red Sox. I think I have that right. Something like that. They've won the majority of the games anyway. So I have no faith that the Red Sox will win this game. And it being in Fenway does not make me think, because last time it was in Fenway, the Yankees fans were here and it was like a home game for them. So hopefully the Red Sox fans show up and they win the game, but I don't have faith that they'll win it.
On that note, I agree. I have, unlike a Nick Folk field goal attempt where I do have faith, no faith. I haven't believed all year, and I've watched, I've followed. At no point was I convinced of anything with them, and that hasn't changed. And maybe I'll just doubt them. I mean, they're in, but so we'll see what happens. But that leads into the last little thing. In the MLB, they released their attendance numbers today. Will it be a sellout crowd at Fenway? Like you'd expect, Red Sox, Yankees, that better be a packed house for Red Sox fans. But numbers down. Now, 20 million people attended baseball games this year. Now, obviously, capacity limits for most of the places, so that has something to do with it. But it does continue a long trend of attendance declining. And once capacity limits were lifted and everywhere, or attendance numbers were still down for Major League Baseball. Do you think that has to do with COVID still? People just not willing to go out and being amongst the throng? The price of games? Or the product on the field? Or the product of being at a ballpark to see a baseball game? I think it's all three. I think it's a giant stew of suck.
A giant pile of stew. That's what I think. Of hot stew. I would say I agree. It's all three. I think that those numbers are a bit misleading. Because technically numbers are up from 2020. So, yeah, I think those numbers are a bit misleading. But I will say it's been trending downwards for a number of years now. Just based on, I feel like, average demographic of fans. It's like, how many people under 55 are watching baseball 9 innings a night? Guarantee you nobody. Well, I guess I can't say nobody, but I'm not. I'll say the product, at least on the stretch, has been good, but this is what baseball is to me. And I feel like this is the most to most young people. There's a handful that love baseball. For me, it's like, okay, I'm going to pay attention at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the playoffs. Like this was exciting down the stretch here. If you're a Red Sox, Yankees, Blue Jays, all these teams were in it, Mariners. But the product's just not that exciting. Like overall, it's just not that exciting. You know, I can't sit there and watch 162, 9 innings a night, 3.5, 4 hours a game. So that I believe is something. Prices for sure. I mean, and then the COVID aspect. There's still people that don't want to go into large crowds like that. Albeit outside and you know everything else, but I just think baseball is just not as popular as, especially football's back now, and you know it's just not up there with those sports anymore. It's kind of number 4 if you want to talk about the big 4.
Yeah, I agree. It's a multifaceted problem. Product is tough to watch at home and in the stadium. So stadiums are having problems. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the viewership numbers are when all of that stuff eventually comes out.
Like, I'll be honest, if you're asking me if I'm going to watch an out-of-town baseball playoff game or I'm going to watch a regular season Bruins or Celtics game, I'm going to choose Bruins or Celtics.
Well, that's also a perpetual. I mean, forever. That's a problem with the Boston market. It's a huge market. The problem is when Boston teams aren't in something, people don't watch. Like when it comes to playoff time, if the Bruins are in it, we're watching and we're watching other games because we're watching the other teams. We're just like feed. As soon as the Bruins lose, it's like hockey season's over. For most people.
Yeah, see, for me, I can watch it all day, and I feel like hockey and basketball, there's some more buzz in the sport. The sport is more exciting, right?
But take that and it's extrapolated out even farther with baseball. I mean, you're going to watch it, but if the Red Sox aren't good or they aren't in it, or as soon as they're eliminated, nobody's watching.
I hate to say it, I think the Red Sox are number 4 in this town now. It's got to be Patriots, obviously, still number 1. Then you can flip-flop Bruins, Celtics, however you want, and then it's Red Sox. I just think they're number 4 now, and that goes along with the sport. I think the sport is number 4. I really do.
And there's a gap there. Yeah. I think there's a gap between
a large gap,
3 and 4. Last thing, this is a question from Pete and Gansett. Brady, no picks, but no touchdowns either last night. Is last night's game film a must-watch for the rest of the NFC coaches? Absolutely. I mean, you got to see. Now, I think a lot of things. Here's the thing. Will other teams have the same? I mean, you can look at it and say, well, what do the Patriots do? Chris Collinsworth alluded to it. Hey, the Patriots are playing a different coverage with different personnel and a different look on almost every single play in every single situation. And they were doing stuff in the second half that they didn't even show in the first half. That's how you bother Tom. Now, I think Tom was also bothered by the environment. Coming back and a little bit of the emotion of it. In the beginning, he was missing throws. There were throws there that he was missing. Then there was times where I thought the Patriots were disguising stuff. It was a back and forth. That was the chess match we were all looking for. I don't know if any other teams can necessarily replicate that because they're not going to have the institutional knowledge that the Patriots do, and that Bill Belichick has. So you can look at it and say, oh, you got to switch up your coverages. Yeah, well, duh. But, which coverages bother Tom the most? What types of little intricate looks about things about, well, you don't want to play cover 2, make it look like a cover 4, blah, 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 blah. But those guys might know, hey, I can bait Tom by standing here because I know he knows our defense, and that if I stand here, he might think there's so much more of that extra stuff that other teams aren't going to be able to have to know that they won't know. I think it's kind of obvious that you want to play and switch and disguise and, hey, only rush 4. I mean, that's kind of been the only way to beat Tom anyway, is to get home with 4 guys and play good coverage, man-to-man coverage.
And there were plays to be there. I think, look, you look at the numbers, it's not flashy, but Antonio Brown should have caught a touchdown. Mike Evans had a touchdown if he caught the ball and walked in. So there were touchdowns to be had there. I think the Patriots overall kept, 5-6 defensive backs on the field. And I think the book out on Tom is you get those guys in mixed match coverages, show blitz, back out of it. And you just mix and match. And you get them by making sure you can cover, and you get home with 3 to 4. I think the book is already out on that. So I don't think last night really proves anything. I mean, the Patriots know Tom better than any other team, just based on he's been here for 20 years and now he's on the other side.
Yeah, listen, there's a blueprint in there. I just think it's in a language that other teams won't be able to read. You don't know, and it's not Bill's going to tell you. Now the player's going to tell you,
and that's literally just because they can't read. All the other coaches are just dumb.
It's true. I mean, half the league wouldn't even know what to do with the game plan if they were handed it. I just think you wouldn't be able to ferret out what is something that you can't pull apart. Hey, did Tom not see this because they disguised the coverage well, or was he overthinking what he thought he saw? Because it's the Patriots, you'll never know. And so you might look at it and say, oh, the way they played this cover 2, that could be a way to get at Tom. And then he'll come out against whoever, the Dolphins, and you could try and run the exact same thing, but he's not going to be worried about, hey, Devin standing there. I know things about Devin that, I wouldn't normally say, but he's going to not even worry about any of that extra stuff. So,
yeah.
It is and it isn't, which is kind of how we've given a lot of answers tonight about last night's game. But surprise, surprise, I feel good about it. And I don't know. Do you feel good, Christian? Do you feel good?
I feel good about Mac Jones, but I don't feel good about 1-3. So, like, I think I want them to win games when Mac Jones is playing well. That's the whole point of the roster around him, or it was at the beginning of the season. So, long term, I think you have a quarterback. Short term, I think you have a quarterback who can play and win games, but you got to win the games. I mean, you're really 1-3 now, and you still got Dallas, Buffalo twice, Chargers, Carolina. All those teams are proving to be decent competition. So they have to start stringing some games together that they actually win when the quarterback plays well.
Short term, long term, the offensive line needs to get way better.
Well,
because short term, I think you could win games this year with the quarterback you have. In long term, you found a quarterback. Don't break him. So figure out the offensive line. That's the number one priority. I don't know what their options are if they have to go out and get people, what trade things look, what possibilities there could be to really shore it up this year. Aside from just straight up playing better. Let's check the email. Reach us anytime, the360sportshow@gmail.com. Yes, listeners, we appreciate you. FM,
Well, you're cutting out there big time.
You're losing me.
Yeah, you sound like you're ET.
Phone home. Got a question on the email side. Brady didn't throw any touchdowns last night. Can teams use that game plan? And so we've kind of answered that as well. So that is going to do it for us here tonight. Thank you to everybody who joined in along with us here on the live edition of the show. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Actually, no more Periscope. Periscope is gone under, so we're just on Twitter live. And no Facebook tonight either because Facebook crashed. Whatever happened there.
World is ending.
No. Honestly,
I think it's back now. But
if Facebook went away, I think I actually might feel happier about our prospects as a society. But anyway, while it exists, we'll be live there. So thank you for those who tune into the live show.
While it's down, go convince your uncle to get vaccinated. I saw someone said that.
We appreciate you. So thank you for joining and listening with here tonight. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber, and we'll talk to you all next week.
See ya.